Tammy's Boy Podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only. John Carden is not a licensed therapist. He is just a friend.
Welcome on in, everybody. This is another episode of Tammy's Boy. You know what we do here? We talk about our parents. And you know me. You know why I do this. I had to write sentences for food.
Yes, you did.
No, I had a crazy childhood, and I love getting to know everybody and figuring out what their childhood was like, and that's why we do the pod. But before we get into it, we got a few words from my buddy, my producer, my friend, my brother, Mr. Cole Garrett.
Tammy's kids, how the hell are we doing? We're back. We're back for another episode. We got a great one coming at you right now. As always, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. We have the full video on YouTube, full video on Spotify, and the audio on all your other audio listening podcast platforms, okay? Also, if you guys have any crazy stories about your families, right? If you have a Tammy of your own, mom, dad, parent, uncle, aunt, whatever, email us. Email us at tammysboypodcast@gmail.com, and we will read your stories on the air, sometimes with a guest. Guys, that is enough out of me. Let's get into the episode. John, who the hell we got on the couch today?
Got a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Actually, we just met at MoonTower, so it's a new friendship, but we hit it off, and definitely somebody I wanted to have on the pod. It's Aidan McCluskey, everybody.
What's going on, man?
Hell yeah.
How you doing?
How we doing?
All the way from Minneapolis.
Yeah, Minneapolis. People keep thinking I'm from New York for some reason.
It's the shows. I think that's what did it. They had you on all of New York's finest shows for MoonTower.
Yeah.
You were in a lot of them.
People were like presumptuous about it too. Like at the after, they were like, New York? And I was like, no.
You also, I think you have that vibe though, where you've kind of like, because you're really good on stage.
Oh, thanks.
Like really good on stage.
Yeah.
So you have that vibe where I think it should be a compliment, where like you've transcended the small market and people believe that you can only exist in a larger market.
That's nice. When you put it that way, that's super nice.
Yeah, because I mean, you're really good.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, really funny.
Yeah, the Minneapolis small market, it kind of, I get to these sorts of festivals and I'm like, I don't know a fucking soul. And some people don't know where Minneapolis, they're like, where? And I'm like, where
like,
everything's going on.
Yeah, I've heard about it in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got an idea that comes to my head.
It was that way for me as a Phoenix comic. I would go to a festival and there would be like maybe two people that I would know. And the only way I know them is like from the road.
Yeah, or doing like another festival, bumping into them. Yeah.
And then with festivals, the weird thing about them is that you see one person that you only see once or twice a year at that festival. And you just have that moment where you're like, hey, how's your year been? You know?
Yeah. Hey, how's the kid? How's the wife? Yeah.
They're like, well, they're 3 now.
Yeah.
It's been a year. So
Phoenix is huge though. You guys have like a decent amount of clubs out there.
yeah, there was when I was there was 6.
God damn.
But Phoenix is so spread out. It's enormous. I would drive sometimes an hour and a half to do 3 spots at night.
Just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I would go from like Mesa to, Glendale, and then Glendale into downtown Phoenix, and then maybe downtown Phoenix to North Scottsdale, and then maybe Scottsdale to Chandler or North Phoenix. Or, it depends on, who had the spots and where. But the clubs, there was Stand Up Live, Tempe Improv, and then there was like CB Live, but now it's the Desert Ridge Improv.
I've done the Desert Ridge House of Comedy right before it shut down. Yeah.
So I did. House of Comedy was my home club.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
For 5 or 6 years, that was the club that I was at.
They seemed the coolest to the local comics. Yeah. Everybody that came through, they seemed like
they
pretty
were good.
welcoming and letting everybody in.
Yeah, they were good to me, man. I didn't pay for food when I was there for 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they really, really looked out for me. And also Tammy, was the first person to headline me for a weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she headlined me in Phoenix when I moved here.
I think she actually might be the first, because I did the House of Comedy Phoenix. That was the first ever like road headlining weekend I've done.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The condo there is super cool.
It is, man. Yeah. That club's gone now though. And RIP. That club was so good to me, dude. I mean, I ran Triple Threat Tuesdays there for a while, and we averaged before COVID like 70 to 80 people on a Tuesday.
No shit.
And
that place is like a little oasis.
It really is.
That weekend, I didn't go anywhere from like the condo to across that like street.
Yeah.
And back.
Yeah.
That was like the only thing I could actually walk to because it was in July.
Yeah, I've stayed in that condo many, many times. A bunch of noise complaints.
Oh, yeah.
Because the guy up above has a special needs kid in the condo.
Oh.
And so if you sit on that patio and you talk, as comics do, sit out there, smoke cigarettes and talk until 5:30 in the morning. And he'll yell down, "Could you please stop? I've got a special needs kid." That's how I know.
Bring him down here. Let me see.
Yeah, bring him to sit him up at the table, dude.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, I want to see. I want to lay eyes on him.
We're gonna get
How
him
disabled are we talking?
I'll buy him a drink. Get him down here.
Yeah. Also, let's give this kid the best night of his life.
Yeah. Has he ever smoked weed before?
Yeah. And cigarettes?
Yeah.
I got an American Spirit with Tyler's name on it. I don't know why
I got no noise complaints while I was there.
Oh, you're a good boy. I had a funny moment, like, you know, those epiphanous moments in comedy where you realize that you're actually progressing, and it's not. Mine are so small, right?
Same. It's so incremental for me too.
Absolutely, the moments themselves. It's like I opened at that club for years, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I hosted, and you know, you do 25-minute hosting sets there.
Yep.
So
Canadian style.
Yeah, Canadian style. So that club made me sharp. It made me, because if you can host for 25 minutes.
Did they make you go up again in between?
Sometimes I would do like 10 and 15 or 10 and 10 in between the feature, depending on how strong the feature was.
Yeah.
If the feature was super strong, then I'm just going to do the 20 or 25, whatever they want me to do. But that, I mean, if you can host for 25 minutes, in my mind, you can headline anywhere in the country.
For sure, because you gotta. I mean, the first like 10 minutes is gaining their trust.
Absolutely.
Overall,
yeah, it's gaining their trust, and it's like I learned how to do crowd work doing that.
Yeah,
I learned so many skills that I can't that they're in the toolbox now because of that club. And doing those things. But yeah, man, I miss that place, dude.
The one there was so much better than the one in the mall in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So much better.
Yeah.
When I got first set up with that one, I was like, oh man, House of Comedy. Because my only point of reference was the Mall of America House of Comedy, which
it's
unreal.
Yeah.
That one is unreal.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's in a weird location. But yeah, the moment, man, I remember I had hosted and featured there so many times that I headlined for the first time. When you walk in that condo, there's the room to the left and there's the room to the right. There's the headliner room.
Yeah.
Right? The one to the right's got the bathroom and all that stuff attached to it. So
with
that's
the
usually
shower. And
typically the headliner room, right? And I remember I had taken so many left turns to go into the opener room.
Yeah.
And then for the first time, I get to the condo and I'm closing and I'm like, fuck, I can go right.
You get to go right. Yeah.
And
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it was that one little moment that let me know that, hey, man, I'm doing this.
You made it.
Yeah.
To the, because that's how I have always structured it's like having a goal that is attainable and not really trying to think beyond that.
Yeah.
Because that makes it a lot easier on yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then 6 months later, I hosted there, opened again. I walked to the condo, had to go left.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And I was like, all right, that's comedy. You know what I mean? That's fucking that's the ride. But this has been a fun preamble.
Yes, it has.
Going straight into comedy, dude.
Yeah, we're right into it.
So the way we always start this is real simply. It's just who raised you?
My mom and dad.
Let's go.
I'm trying to think.
Congratulations.
How to put it. My mom, I grew up in a really small town in southwestern Wisconsin called Galesville.
Okay.
It's like 1,200 people.
Okay.
I think now it's like 17, but my mom grew up there and my dad is from Flushing, Queens, New York.
Oh.
So your dad was like a fish out of water.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they met because my mom's friend from high school was stationed with him while he was in the Navy. And she went to go visit her friend, and then they met.
Oh, okay.
And then she moved to New York for like 7 or 8 years, and then they wanted to have kids, so then they moved to where my mom grew up.
To raise the family.
To have me, yeah.
Wow. And are they still together?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they're still together. My dad just retired.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brothers, sisters?
No, only me.
Oh,
Yeah, let's
you.
go. Same here.
Yeah.
You're in good company.
It was only me.
They could have raised you in Queens.
Probably. I don't know. I think my mom was getting a little overwhelmed with the city.
Okay.
And
yeah,
I
just
think
being
the
from a small
prices,
town.
yeah. She gave it a good run. 8 years in New York City is quite a
that is.
stretch.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah, for
stretch
sure.
to spend in the city. Yeah,
Just truly living there, especially New York. Yeah.
yeah. So would you consider your parents like cultured?
Yeah, I would say so. At least comparatively to where I grew up.
Yeah,
for
right.
sure.
There's a lot of parents like
They
where
could
I
have
grew
eaten a
up.
Benihana and been cultured.
Yeah. There's a lot of people I know where I grew up, like my friends' parents who've like never traveled. And some of them, it's like a joke that they don't even go to like the bigger city 25 minutes away, which
Yeah.
is like a town of like 50,000 people.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
in comparison, I think my parents are pretty well traveled. Because while
Yeah.
my dad was in the Navy, he got to bounce around Europe
Yeah.
and stuff. And then my mom always traveled when she was younger. So I think comparatively, yeah, they're more cultured.
What's your favorite memory? Like going back, like earliest memory?
Let me see. I'm trying to think of one real good one. Probably my visiting my cousins. So my dad's brother had a lake house in upstate New York.
Okay.
Nice.
And then they still
Like Lake
lived,
George?
yeah, yeah. And they still had like a place in the city. And then during the summer, sometimes we would go up there and like hang out with them. I think that was probably one of the
Yeah.
better times.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Talk to your
Yeah.
friend at school. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go to New York. No big deal.
Yeah, hang out with
just
my
upstate.
cousins,
Just upstate. No big deal.
swimming in the lake and
no
shit.
big deal.
Yeah, the lake trips are fun, man. Did
Would you guys drive or fly?
We would drive. I got a hair in my mouth. We would
Bless you.
drive.
it's the water pubes?
Yeah, I got some water pubes, dude.
We'll leave that in.
We would drive and fucking. That was always something because my dad he had like that 0 to 60 New York. That's like still within him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so road trips would go. Those would get pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of road rage?
Oh, a lot of road rage. A lot of like the amount of times we would just drive it straight. We would just
yeah.
like get in the car and he would drive for 12 plus hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then towards the end of it, he's just getting more and more
Yeah.
ramped up. Oh yeah. I remember one time this was not even driving out there. We went on a road trip of like the South a little bit and saw some like Civil War shit and
Yeah.
like stopped
homeland.
to see where like the Hatfields and McCoys were.
Okay.
And I remember because my mom was always like the navigator,
Right.
and she had the map going. And I remember one time we were just going around and around a roundabout. And my dad was just like, "You got to help me out, Megan. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how many times I can go around this fucking thing." We went around like 15, 20 times
That's
in a
hilarious.
circle. And it was just like jerking it harder and harder and bumping onto the curb. Yeah, dude, that one, he would get revved up. But I had like they had one of those things though that like a screen that they put over the back so I could watch like a DVD.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was
Yeah,
nice.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's the luxury of being an only kid. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I can relate to that. We would vacation in northern Wisconsin, real small town, have family cabin up there. Phillips, like 1,000 people. So
Yeah.
I completely relate to what you're talking about. People
Yeah.
do not travel out much. But being an only child, yeah, get in the back seat, have a little, portable DVD player.
Yeah.
No one's fighting over it. Things are pretty good. Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
Yeah, portable DVD players. What a time. Mm-hmm. My son has one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Still?
Yeah, to this
Yeah,
day. Yeah, it's in
nice.
his room.
I mean, they're kind of sick.
They
I
are
feel like
nice,
they
yeah.
could sell for like a decent amount of money now because like the concept of that is pretty
Yeah.
ingenious.
It's pretty great.
It's just the hard media that is the issue.
When he's here during the summer and he doesn't want to go to bed or something, I'm like, I'll take him to the half price bookstore.
Yeah.
And they have every old DVD you could ever possibly imagine
For dirt cheap.
for like $2.
Yeah.
And so he picked out like 2 seasons of DuckTales and like
Hell yeah.
Nice.
a bunch of
Yeah.
other stuff. And he just wants to sit and watch DuckTales as he goes to sleep. And I'm like, that's fine, dude.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He picked out DuckTales and American Sniper.
That's
an
Chris
inside
Kyle
joke.
collection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for the real Tammy's boys, Tammy's kids.
So what did your mom do growing up?
My mom was so when I was younger, she was always like a graphic designer.
Okay.
She worked for some company. I was like too young. I didn't know what it was she was doing. She was like designing logos and stuff.
Stuff now that's just done by AI without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Pretty much,
and then she went on to be like independent, like doing graphic design and photography. So she did a lot of like wedding photography during the summer.
A lot of money in that.
Yeah. So
Very
I was
lucrative.
like her helper on some
cool.
of the ones. So I
Okay,
would
cool.
go and like hold the light
Yeah.
thing. But some of those weddings were like brutal, dude. They don't like, sometimes they don't feed the photographer.
Oh, yeah.
And like they want you there all goddamn day.
Yeah.
And at the drop of a hat, they're like, I want this photo here. So some
Yeah.
of those were kind of brutal. I was like, damn, I don't know how she did that for as long as she did.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're also working with brides and maybe even worse, brides' mothers. You know?
The family I've heard
Yeah.
is almost always worse.
That's what I've heard too. I've yet to shoot a wedding for that reason, where it's like, but you can pay, you can dish out a lot of money for it.
So I've performed at a couple weddings. And one of them was one of the most brutal experiences of my entire life.
I can't
I
even
bet.
imagine. That's a person's one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buddy.
Whose idea was that?
It was theirs.
Wow.
It was a gig. It was a gig salad gig. You know what gig salad is?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
it was a-
So they didn't go, we want John. They
They
were
go,
just
"We want
like,
a
we
comic."
want a comedian.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Doesn't matter which one.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Absolutely. And so they booked me 9 days before their wedding.
Not enough time. Did
No.
you have to like send?
We met
Tapes
at
and
a
stuff?
Chili's
Okay.
outside of a Walmart.
They buy?
Yeah, but I didn't eat. I'm taking notes. You know what I mean? Like I'm fucking. Also, it was a $300 gig. Let's not act like it was.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't anything crazy. But I want to take it seriously. You know, it's your moment. You're hiring me. I'll give us 300 or 300,000.
Right.
I'm gonna take it with the same seriousness.
For sure.
So I sat down and bunch of details about their life. How they met. You know, he had followed her on 9 different dating websites. And
Were they bigger?
no.
Oh, okay.
No, I
Okay,
mean-
I don't know.
I would say
That's funny.
both a 6 and a 7. You know,
Yeah, okay.
just
Yeah.
average people. But they were nice enough.
How many years ago was this?
Who's the 6 and who's the 7?
This was she was the 7.
Nice. He was batting up.
Yeah, he was batting up big time. It was a high 7. He was a low
Yeah.
6. Nearing 5. You know what I mean?
Ah, okay.
But anyway, so they gave me all these details, how they fucking he was a scuba instructor or something, and his name was Scuba Steve on the dating websites. All these details about their family, about how there was a lesbian there that had just come out of the closet, about her dad was a cartel member, and
Nice, get her. Yeah, for sure. I would
Yeah.
be all over that.
her dad was like, yeah, right. Her dad was I guess they employed by Pablo Escobar at one point or something.
Whoa.
And so, or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a wild, they had a wild background. And so the way they pitched this to me is that it's going to be a crazy wedding. They're like, it's going to be like, we've got a flame eater, an elephant, a monkey. It's like, and to me, okay, a comic makes sense.
Yeah, when you throw all of those other elements in,
Yeah.
Sounds like
it's-
a ringleader.
it's
kinda.
less of a it's so much of a non-traditional wedding. You're like, well, I'll fit in.
Absolutely,
As if
yeah.
it were a wedding
Yeah.
and you're doing comedy.
Yeah. And that gave me comfort.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure.
That gave
Yeah.
me comfort. I get there on the day of the wedding, and it is, keep in mind, it's June in Texas. So it's hot as fuck. But when I get there, it's a normal wedding.
No elephant.
No elephant. No monkey.
No.
No fucking monkey. I looked for the monkey.
Yeah.
I walked around the grounds. I'm like, I can't wait to see this monkey.
You're leaning into people.
Who is this comedian?
Yeah, leaning into somebody. They got a monkey here.
So apparently they got in trouble for having too many vendors at the venue. And they couldn't have the funnel cake stand and the monkey and the elephant and the flame eater and all this stuff. So they had to sneak me in as a special guest.
Okay.
And nobody knows that I'm going to do comedy.
Oh my God.
How
I'm sitting in
early
the
did you
back.
get there?
I got there for the ceremony.
Oh, good Lord. Whoa.
I watched,
Whoa.
and it was I love you, want to spend the rest of my life. You are the heart of my life. It was a deep, emotional, beautiful ceremony. And then I've prepared all this stuff about kind of roasting them for how they met. And, about a lesbian. I've written for this.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of committed at this point.
Hey, all this nice stuff they just said, I'm going to burn it down.
Buddy, I even had jokes about the elephant and the monkey that I left in there.
Well, yeah. I mean, you
you got
fucking
to.
told me it's going to be
Yeah.
here. I got to fill this time.
Yeah.
And here's the beautiful part about it. Nobody in that entire wedding knew what I knew, but me, the bride, and the groom.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
Buddy,
Why did they tell you all of that stuff then?
to this day, dude, I have no idea.
Were they laughing? Did they enjoy it?
No.
Oh.
It was like, it was insane. And so I'm like, dude, I'm bombing like horribly.
Yeah,
And I go into divorce material at a wedding.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
brother, I am bombing epically. Okay. I'm supposed to do 25. I did a hot 12, maybe 15,
Yeah.
and got out of Dodge. The preacher that did the ceremony walks up and he goes, "Don't worry, son, I got this." He takes the mic from me as I'm walking up and begins, Aidan, to destroy. Opens up a clinic.
Black dude?
Okay? White dude.
Really?
I mean, every God joke, love joke you can think of.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes, love, they say it's like two turtle doves, and that's great. Unless it's dove season, murders.
Oh, man.
Oh,
come
He knows the room.
Yeah.
I mean, murders.
It'd be funny if he was back there, like, while you're bombing, he's like, gotta cut that. The elephant thing. Yeah, they're not here either. You know?
Yeah.
And then he goes, and this is what, buddy, I'm sitting all the time pouring sweat. I just bombed my ass off. I'm in my head like, what the fuck went wrong? And then this guy is just slaying this crowd. And then he goes, I guess I should have been the comedian.
Oh, damn. Slam dunks you.
Brother, I bury my head into my hands. And then after that, I have to go up to the groom and be like, can I have my money?
Yeah, I mean, you did do it.
I
You
did
did
it.
show up. Yeah.
But man, it was one of the most brutal experiences of my life was doing that fucking wedding. I did a funeral once that was 30 times better.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
would
Funeral, at least, there's every time people are like, well, they would want us to laugh and have a good time.
Yeah.
But a
I did
wedding.
it for somebody's racist grandpa. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Let's
That
go.
sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. That should be the mandatory.
Yeah.
That actually sounds like the move. Screw these wakes and stuff. Let's just let's get a funny man up there.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Those gigs where they have you and you leave and you go, that wasn't good for me. That wasn't good for you. I don't know why we did this.
Yeah.
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 I really don't know. From the begin, I've had gigs where I show up and it's like from the beginning they're not stoked I'm even there, and it's like,
Me too.
okay, why are we doing it then?
Why are we here?
Why'd you ask for this?
Yeah. And then it makes us look like a diva when we have that simple question
Yeah.
where it's like, well, why? You know?
Right.
For what purpose did you want me here?
Yeah.
Or like it always happens at gigs where it's like one of those, like it's already organized by a third party and it's like a bar tour or a bar show. And it's like the owners are rarely happy or even there. And it's like, you can cut ties with this other organization that's, you don't have to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, there's a lot of times you go in and you're doing a show on the road and you don't know what has happened between the producer and the venue.
Mm-hmm.
And
leading up to it.
Yeah. And so you're doing the show and then they're like, yeah, Todd's okay. But last show, he took his pants off again and took a shit outside in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm so sorry. I just met Todd.
Yeah.
Don't let that reflect me.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, dude, I remember like I used to work with this dude, Ron Heron, who booked.
Buddy?
Like, oh, you did too?
You want to go into the brewery comedy tour?
Oh, I've
we
done
can spend the next 30 minutes of this fucking pod ripping apart the brewery comedy tour if you want to. All right, hold on. Wait, I know you're enjoying the episode. Just give us just a minute. We just had a quick thing we want to tell you about. First off, if you're watching the episode and you're liking it, thank you so much. We love you. Keep watching. We're almost done. Just make sure if you've got the time, go hit that subscribe button, like, comment, do all the things you got to do to make us the best podcast that, we're trying to be. I believe Colt has one more thing he wants to tell you.
Guys, I got some big news, okay? The big news is that John and I are coming up with a whole new show. We already have it all put together, but we need your help to do it. The name of the show is Who's Your Tammy, where we're going to have you guys, our loyal fans, write into the show. Tell us about your crazy childhoods, good and bad. What'd your parents do? Did they not feed you? Did they feed you too much? Did you have good Christmases, bad Christmases? Tell us all about it. Email us at tammy'sboypodcast@gmail.com, and we will read your stories on the air, and we'll break them down.
Feel free. If you want to keep it anonymous, keep it anonymous. You don't have to tell us your name. Your identity can remain a complete secret. But your stories, that's what we want. So please, send us those stories. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the episode.
Since we're on road trips, which I think is where we left with your dad.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, we segued.
Yeah, we segued
yeah,
hard.
I didn't even mean to.
No, you're
but-
good. That's fine. That's
It's fine. It's cool.
Yeah.
So, so you normally travel up to like northern New York and stuff. So, and your
Yeah.
dad you said your dad retired. How long was he in the Navy?
He was only he did his 4 years and then he
Did his
got
4 years.
out.
But you said
yeah.
he retired. What did he do after he got out of the Navy?
When they were in New York, he became a sanitation worker. So he was working in did garbage.
Yeah.
And then
No, I got you. I know what
it
you mean.
paid more to be a cop. So he went to be a police officer in New
Okay.
York. And
Whoa,
then
let's
when
go.
he moved to where I grew up, he did like road construction for a while and then became a cop out there.
Okay.
And was a cop for like 25 years.
Gotcha.
That's probably why you and Gardini get along.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Our cop dads and his dad, and like I've been around him. I'm like,
They're similar?
there's similarities among like all old cops where I'm
Okay,
like,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
some sort of like thread that runs throughout them that they have a very similar personality trait.
I
Yeah.
think the job, that's one of those jobs that changes you over time.
For
Absolutely.
sure, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, you have to become what you need to survive that job
Yeah.
more than what you have to do to thrive in it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's such a mixed bag of what you get every day. You never know.
You have no idea. I've thought about that. Well, because like the hotel that they had me in downtown, I had like a view of the street and I saw like cops pull into this alley and talk to a guy and then he ran and they kind of and I'm like, that's his work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he just pulls up and like that is his job to chase someone down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't imagine that.
Yeah,
like,
that's wild.
I hated like working in a grocery store and cleaning milk
Yeah.
and being like, this sucks. But
Yeah.
having to chase someone down.
Yeah, that you don't know how long it's been since they showered.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, also too, any like traffic stop, like walking up like behind a car and stuff is just like, that's got to be nerve wracking.
Oh, that's a mystery
I
box
mean,
every time.
it's just like, well,
he might shoot.
let's
Yeah.
see, and you're kind of like, I just got to, take it
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
back foot.
Yeah. Did your dad ever like, you could just tell he'd come home like stressed out?
Oh yeah, my dad was a perpetually stressed person, but like it would manifest in ways of like him getting pissed. But it's like probably looking back now, I'm like, I don't know what you saw during your day. It's probably the most insane shit, and then you come home to a son just playing video games and not do like you go from a job where no one's listening to you and then coming home where also no one listens to you.
Yeah.
It's got to be
Yeah.
like, God damn, I got no control
Well,
over my
especially
life.
too, like he said he first became a cop in New York.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was a cop in New York whenever New York was like taxi
when it was-
driver New York.
yeah.
That's some rough.
Yeah. What was that, like early 90s, late 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's different New York.
That's different.
Yeah. He's told me some stories about that because like my uncle was also a cop. My dad stayed a police officer and like never really took any promotions besides when I was in high school, he became the canine cop.
Okay.
Huh.
My uncle, though, took all of the promotions and stayed in New York. But I guess during the Crown Heights riot, they were there at the same time,
Oh, wow.
working together. Or like my uncle was in a different precinct and he was too, but they needed more police officers, so they bumped into each other down there.
Wow. Looking at you, I never would have thought New York cop family.
Yeah.
You know, that's
that's
wild.
I don't think people would guess that either.
No, Wisconsin.
Honestly, people thinking you're from New York now kind of makes more sense.
Yeah, it honestly does. It's more of a genuine, like, there is a thread there.
Yeah, there's a certain vibe about you that I guess because you are raised by.
But I will say, you do look like a Packers fan too. So there's that. There is a.
No, dude, I never really got into football too much. My dad was a Giants fan, and then as I got older, they just continued to shit the bed, and it made him angrier and angrier until he just kind of stopped.
So it's more,
Yeah.
Still adding on to that.
Do you like any like off kilter sports? Like any of the weird shit?
No, sometimes if the Ocho's on, I'll watch Cherry Pit spitting. That one's pretty funny to watch.
I'll watch a whole cornhole tournament, dude.
Yeah.
I'll watch the whole thing. One of the things I find the most funny is that you've watched the cornhole tournaments. It's a sporting event. So legally, there's an ambulance required to be there.
Yeah.
That's the funniest thing in the world to me. It's like, you know what I mean? Like you're at the depot getting your assignments for the day. And like, all right, we got a fucking heart attack over in Crown Heights. We got this, we got that. All right, Daryl, you're on the cornhole tournament.
You go. I just imagine it's like a dude hammered drunk that like throws too hard and his momentum brings him to the ground. Like falls into the cooler or something and hits his head. Yeah.
Yeah. The only accident that is coming from a cornhole tournament is alcohol related.
100%. Yeah. I mean the fucking quadruple.
Yeah, quadruple amputee. Killer. Yeah.
He played cornhole.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about that last night.
Yeah. Anybody could really play.
Yeah. Say what you want about that. I think that's an inspirational story.
The dude that murdered someone?
Anything, you can do anything you put your mind to.
I mean, do you see the video where he like takes a line and then fires an AR out the window?
Yeah.
No.
There's like there's videos like people were like, how does he shoot a gun? And now there's like 5 videos online of separate occasions of him shooting a gun.
Not just shooting it, loading it.
Yeah, loading it and shooting the gun.
And shooting the gun. There's the whole process.
Imagine being his dad walking up to a car and you got an armed, quadruple amputee aiming an AR at you,
Yeah.
Did your were there any times as a kid that you had nerves about your dad's job?
It honestly never. It seems so normal.
Yeah, it was just your normal, so you didn't really
like he's going to work,
right?
Sort of a thing.
Yeah,
he did get hurt, but I was in like kindergarten. Him and he went to arrest a guy, and they went down to the ground, but like his head caught on like one of the hooks on like a chain link fence, and it split his head.
Yeah,
like peeled all the skin open.
My God.
Damn.
So he did get injured doing that.
Yeah.
But I was like young and didn't really understand it.
Sure.
But then I got older. It was like after high school.
Yeah.
And thinking of him, because like you watch your dad get older as you grow older, and you watch them, I guess for lack of a better term, like just become less capable in sort of a thing. They need more like help lifting, because my dad always is cutting wood back home.
Yeah.
They slow down.
They slow down a little bit, and you see it. And then like as I was getting older and he was still a cop, because he was a cop till I was 25.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So like when I left the house, I would get like stoned and be like, damn, someone could just shoot my dad.
Yeah.
Or like my dad he's in a position where he's more likely to die, I guess. And it hit me when I got older. But as a kid, he's just like, I'm going to work. I'm like, okay.
Did you ever talk about that with him?
No.
No?
I don't think so. No, he and we've never had too deep of a conversation. Me or my mom either.
Really?
Our family's we keep it pretty surface level.
Huh.
Yeah.
So what was we may have already said this, but remind me of what your mom did again?
She was a photographer.
That's right. And she did like graphic design and whatnot. So did she didn't work from home like at that time?
No, she went she had an office.
Gotcha.
And then she got a job, but now what she still does is there's this dance company that started out of like the bigger city from where I grew up. And this lady has like amassed a large amount of like followers in different dance companies. And then it became absorbed by a larger company. And my mom is now the creative director of that company.
Nice.
Okay.
So she's doing well now.
How old are your parents?
Just turned 60.
Nice. Oh, you got young parents.
Yeah,
Nice.
just turned 60.
Very good.
And then, but yeah, we pretty much kept it pretty surface level, even still.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. And are they like that with each other? Is that like kind of how your overall kind of family is? Is that just your guys' dynamic?
I don't know. We were my fiance has said before, she's like, your family is so like quiet. Like there's times where like, I remember being a kid where it's like, we could sit and like watch TV, like going back to visit them, like the TV's on, my dad's on his computer, my mom's reading a book or on her phone, and I'm on my phone, and it could go like a few hours without us saying a word to one another, and we're just like existing in the same room.
Yeah.
And it was that way for a lot of my life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Do you think you were comfortable with that because that's what you knew?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I mean, like my fiance was talking about how she was like, sometimes like if you go out and I'm with your mom and she's like, sometimes it'll just like get quiet and she's like, she comes from a loud family.
Okay.
Right.
So she
yeah.
thinks when something is quiet,
Something's
then
wrong.
something's wrong
Yeah.
or someone's like mad, and it's like, no, that's just how she is.
It's
Like,
actually the exact opposite. When something's quiet, everything's right.
yes,
Yeah.
honestly. Or it would be a little tense because sometimes when my dad would get pissed, but he would get pissed for like long stretches, so it would
Okay.
last a few days, and then it would be like a tense kind of quiet for a
Right.
little while, where it'd be
Yeah.
like, I don't want to say anything that'll piss him off.
I was
Yeah.
going to ask if some of that may have been induced by like your dad just having a really stressful job.
Yeah.
And it would take him a long time to decompress, and your mom like probably being together for a long time just knows like, yeah, just, you know.
She was also, I think she was like that forever because
Really?
my grandma was like, yeah, your mom would just like leave. She would just go out and I would be like, I have no idea where your mom is.
Seems like they're kind of a perfect match for each other. Do they get along like pretty well? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
For the
Got a
most
good-
part now. I mean, I think they're just like at a point where they're so comfortable with one another that
Yeah.
I do know they talk. you know, like I do know that
communicate.
they do
That's
have
good.
like conversations that are probably a little like that are less surface level, but
Sure.
for some reason we just like never really dug too deep because there were things that like happened while I was growing up. Like our house burned down when I was like going into my freshman year, and that was just kind of like a thing that happened. It was just like, yes, our house burned down, but it wasn't like no one was really like, how do you feel about it? Was just sort of a thing that like happened,
yeah.
and we had to like live at my grandma's for a while.
Uh-huh.
And then we got a rental house, and then they sold it, and then we went back to living at my grandma's. And then my dad was like, I can't do this anymore. So he moved back. He moved into our like, it was, for the most part, it was finished, but like the countertops weren't on. There were certain
Yeah.
parts that weren't. And he was like, I'm going back. I don't care. I'm not going to keep living here. So, but that was
Fed
just
up.
sort of like a thing that, happened. So,
That's funny.
With your dad being a cop and you smoke, how did he feel about you smoking weed? Was that like prohibited in the house or?
I think if he caught me, yes. I think if he caught me, it would have been a big deal. But
he
I
never-
knew, like,
Oh, yeah.
I cannot get caught with this.
Right.
And then he got a police dog while I was in high school
fuck.
that was like trained to smell
Smell weed,
drugs.
Did the dog come
yeah.
home with
yeah.
him?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Did he like live at home, or how does
yeah.
that work with?
He was a cool ass dog.
Yeah.
He was one of the coolest pets I've ever had.
That's
because
cool.
like that was almost like it was unreal how you could just be like, you go over here,
Yeah.
and he'll do
Yeah.
exactly what you say as soon as you say it, and
Yeah.
like no one's dog is that way.
Right.
But
You had a super dog.
yeah,
you did.
pretty much. But I remember like
You lived with two cops.
Yeah, you did.
essentially. Yeah, I had a cop in the bed in my parents' bedroom, and then also on the floor in my living room.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, you're pretty good. You're pretty secure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
dude, if you brought drugs in my house, dude, it had to be like you're smuggling them into the Philippines, smuggling them into Indonesia.
I would bury it in the backyard sometimes. I would like walk way out in the woods and put it out in the woods where I'm like, I know the dog is not going to be out there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave it out
Also,
there.
you got plausible deniability.
That's hilarious, dude.
Wow.
You Captain Jack Sparrow'd your weed.
Yeah. I would like hide it in the woods somewhere in a
You
jar.
know a lot about
I've got to
police
hide
dogs.
me booty.
Yeah. That would be funny if, you fucking around with weed as a kid screwed up the dog's like sense of weed. So it became a really shitty cop.
It could have been because
That's funny.
Yeah, like the dog is trained to sit and stare when it detects drugs. And I would get home from hanging out with my buddies and it would just sit and stare at me.
Hey, what's up, Fido?
Yeah.
The dog's like, I know, son. I know. I know.
Yeah.
You lucky I can't talk.
Yeah.
I'm on to you right now.
Yeah. It's looking at you like that.
He's like, Dad.
Yeah.
He did it again.
The closest thing you have to a brother, just a snitch.
Essentially, yeah.
You just have a walking snitch.
Yeah.
Walking.
He really was your brother in crime, but
Yeah.
opposite sides.
But the thing was with that dog is like my dad developed a connection that like I have never seen. Like, because the dog got to a certain age, because police dogs retire.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So like it retired and then got like stomach cancer and died pretty shortly after. And my dad was torn up about that.
Yeah.
Like I've never, that was like the most emotion that I'd ever seen my dad convey was when that dog died. That was like, holy shit. And it didn't register to me till I was older that I was like, that was his partner.
Yeah.
That was like the thing that watched his back all the time at work. He was with the dog 24/7. It came to work, came home, slept in their room. It was like,
Would have saved his life.
had a situation presented itself. And I was like, my dad has never been in a position where he trusts me to save his life.
Yeah. So it's hard to, compare yourself
You
to
know
that.
what I mean? Yeah.
It's a hard standard for sure.
Yeah, we're not man's best friend for a reason.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Oh man, that's cool, dude.
Yeah. That's nice.
I like doing at the end. I like doing like some rapid fire.
Yeah.
And what was your favorite toy growing up?
I had a Spider-Man action figure.
Okay.
Yeah, I really fucked with that thing. Because that was one where you could even move the fingers.
Yeah.
And yeah, I fucked with that. I playing alone as an only child is kind of nuts.
It is. Yeah. Creativity at its peak.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, if you do it now, you're a psychopath. As an adult.
Oh, if I stood there and like talked with guys and like put one across the room and then went back and talked and moved him across to do the fighting. Yeah.
But if you add a camera, you're Seth Green.
Pretty, yeah.
100%. I remember whenever they used to start making like those Lego like stop motion like YouTube videos, and I was only child Lego kid. I'm like, we have all the friends we need over here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how the fuck are they making these into movies? Had no idea anything about a camera at the time, but for my kids that's gonna change.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Stop motion's a good little hobby to get a kid into.
For sure.
Trains them patience.
Yeah.
And like the detail.
Yeah.
My son loves Legos, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think it's one of the best toys for kids.
Yeah, because you build it and then you get to play with it.
Yeah,
so
you
it
can
takes
be-
up double amount of time.
You learn instruction, you learn how to build, but then you learn creativity and building different things with the same materials. It is.
Lego's just training you for IKEA.
Yeah.
It really is, though.
It is, yeah.
But it's crazy.
IKEA is adult Lego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like now, though, you give me a set of instructions, I page through it and I go, I get the gist. And then I just start jamming it together and I fuck it up. And then then I'm yelling and then the neighbors hear me yelling and thank God I'm alone.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank God I don't have anybody.
Oh man, favorite TV show growing up.
Ooh.
Yeah, here's the thing. I know you were an only kid, so I know TV had to be important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
I think when I was like young, I liked the Boomerang channel.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Boomerang
So
was
I
good.
liked,
Blueberry Hound.
yeah.
Yeah, I liked
Play all, like,
Wacky Racers.
Okay,
Yeah.
the
Yeah, that was
Grimsley and yeah, I love those too.
Yeah, that was I think one that I like look forward to when it would like come on.
That was Hanna-Barbera. That was the same people that did Flintstones, Yogi
Yep.
the Bear.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
cartoon style I really liked. And then SpongeBob too. Fucking, I don't know, a kid that didn't grow up like around my age that didn't love SpongeBob.
Dude, yeah. SpongeBob was like the generation right before me.
Oh yeah.
Or, no,
After-
excuse me, right
after
after me.
you?
Sorry,
Yeah.
right after me.
Yeah.
SpongeBob did come around when I was like probably 13 or like 12 maybe. But I was a Rugrats kid.
Oh, I loved Rugrats too. That was a really fun show.
Oh, Rugrats was the shit. But even earlier than that, for me, it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, dude.
Yeah.
TMNT was life.
I would have loved that, but it was just like not on
I know.
Yeah, especially because how old are you?
27.
Okay, so I'm 26. So
Yeah.
at that time, like they were on like TMNT. I loved all of like the old school shows, but
Yeah.
they weren't on cable or anywhere.
No.
Like you had to get like the hard disc. to
Dish,
get them.
yeah.
And someone like a cousin had like one season of it, so you're just watching those episodes over and over again.
And I'm 38. So I've my experience with TV was different. You know what I mean? Like during the 90s, I feel like, there was TGIF at night on Fridays, and then there was Saturday morning cartoons on ABC, and then there was, Nickelodeon, and there was all these things that were like programmed for kids.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
like there was so much programming that was generated just towards kids in my generation. Like all the Spider-Man, X-Men, all those cartoons that would
The
come on.
X-Men were pretty sick. I
It
got
was-
to
it was
catch
awesome.
reruns of that. Those were cool.
That was the only time I was allowed to wake my dad up when I stayed on the weekends.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You wanted to watch the X-Men?
was X-Men. Yeah.
That's pretty
Because
sick.
like watching it back now, like it's pretty like
It still holds up.
It holds up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like an adult could sit down and watch the show.
Same thing with like the Batman series, animated Batman series.
Yeah.
Solid.
Well, I mean,
writing.
that's why we watch Invincible and all that shit now.
Oh yeah.
It's because we grew up on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like to my dad, watching Invincible probably would have been like the same, even though the content's dark or whatever it may be, that it would have been the same thing as like watching like, The Tick or something like that from my generation. But anyway,
Yeah.
Power Rangers was mine.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Never really got into that one.
That was me and my brother, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the cool thing about having a brother.
Who were you out of your brother? Like, were you the red one? Who got to be the red one?
Oh, my brother was the Blue Ranger until I died, dude. He's still the Blue Ranger. He just FaceTime me right now. I would answer it and say, hey, you're the Blue Ranger, bitch.
Yeah.
or you're yellow. You know what I mean? Like,
Damn.
you think you're going to be green and red? Defeat me at the top of the hill, motherfucker. Yeah, but that's, that's brothers. I never let my brother win. And my brother would cheat. But
oh.
yeah, and I would never let my brother win.
Yeah.
And I mean, it bothered him to his core.
To never get a dub on you?
I
Yeah.
mean, there wasn't a single game he could pick up. The only thing he could beat me on was 2K.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't play 2K.
Oh, you were just like, I'm not going to get to that level.
I'm not going to sit
I'm
down
not
and take
even
the
gonna
time to
fucking
beat you
try.
at this. Yeah. He would spend all this time doing it. And I'm like, nah, I wouldn't give him the satisfaction.
Yeah, of beating you.
Yeah. I'm just not
respect
going to do that.
I respect that. Acknowledging that it's like, yes, you are better. I'm not going to give you the chance.
Yeah. I'm
To
not
beat
going to
me.
give you the satisfaction of ever getting a W.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Big Brother 101. Amen. I think it pretty much covers it.
Man, I think we've done it. This has been a great time.
It's
Yeah.
been cool.
Yeah,
This
man.
has
it's
been a
been a
good
great time. One last question. So we've already kind of covered it a little bit, but if you had to say, and it can be different for each parent, like you can break it up. What's your favorite thing and one of your least favorite things about each of your parents?
Ooh. My dad, I guess he is one of those guys that you're like, I know you're going to show up. Like
Yeah.
he will, no matter
Reliable.
who it is or what the circumstance is, he stands by his word. But that also can come at a detriment where it's like he says he'll help. And sometimes he doesn't have like the tools to help.
Yeah.
But he's so goddamn determined to get it done, it just fires him up and it makes him angrier. And it's like, okay, well, now the situation's like gotten way more stressful than
Right.
it needed to be. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming to help.
Yeah.
But Yeah. So he will see something done till the end for good or bad.
Yeah.
But my mom, I do admire, she does hold a lot of composure.
Yeah.
She does not show emotion very often.
Very
Stoic.
stoic.
Very stoic,
Yeah.
yeah. And that is another one that's for good or for bad. She is
Sure.
a very stoic person.
Yeah.
And that's just that's her nature. She's just not one to like show a ton of emotion at all. But yeah, I think I respect that, but it's also like sometimes
Right.
you got to break out of that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because she's one of those people too where it's like, I know she's got a lot going on in her head, but she probably says like 5% of it. And I'm curious what's
What her internal monologue is.
yeah. And I know she like journals a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'd like to know what's in those things.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I know you have a lot of thoughts on things, but she's one of those people that it's like you could present a sort of controversial situation going on like with like our extended family and she'll just be like, I don't know, that's their deal. And it's like, I know you're thinking something about
Right.
it. Yeah.
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 Well, maybe it's probably I don't know if this is a breach of boundaries or whatever it may be, but I think if it was me and I knew that my mom had those journals, I would read them like before she passed away.
That's what I want to do. I want to know before,
Right.
so that we
Yeah.
could talk about it. Because
For
I'm
sure.
like, this is going to be something, because we have had such a surface level. That's something I think about pretty often. Is it's like we have such a baseline understanding of each other.
Yeah.
That like I'd like to figure out more before they pass, because I would hate for my mom to die and then I read the journals. I'm like, damn, she had a lot going on in there.
Yeah.
There's things we could have talked about.
I think the way you communicate that is just by telling her that you want a deeper understanding of her.
I got them both books on Father's Day and Mother's Day, where it's like already like
fill in your history.
the
Yeah.
answer
Yeah,
and
yeah.
history. And I was like, that's a light way of saying I want to
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
know.
intrigued.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something that
And being
interests
like,
you.
this is interesting to me. I'd like to know more. My dad was like, nah, I'm not filling that out. But my mom is like, he does write in it sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay,
That's
there
cool.
is shit in there.
It might be one of those things where, like, I don't know if you ever want to have kids, but if you did ever have kids and they became grandparents, that might be one of those things where you see that full shift.
I
you
think
know?
so, because that happened with my dad's dad,
Okay,
where
yeah.
he was like, my dad he could be a dick when I was growing up, but he was like, but he never yelled at you guys. And he was like, one specific thing he always brings up is like, when I was young and they brought me over there, I went right over and started touching the TV, and it was one of those like glass TVs. And he
Yeah.
was like, oh, my dad would have flipped if I touched the TV when I was a kid. He was like, it's gonna fucking streak. Like, that's what he used to be like. But he was like, yeah, he let you touch the TV all over, not finish your food. I guess that used to like drive my grandma crazy, but I'd be like, I don't want to eat that. And they'd be like, okay.
Wow.
My dad's like, I had to sit at the fucking table and eat it all.
Yeah. What were a couple things that were like for your dad that were like non-negotiables, like you had to do?
Oh, it's tough, dude, to say, because like homework, like grades was always a non-negotiable.
What was their baseline?
But,
where did they want you?
In the B's.
B's, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the B range, but I always came up in the D's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came up
Yikes.
real short a lot of the time.
Sure.
And it was like, it made going to school hell.
Right.
And I could have changed it,
Yeah.
but I just like continued to fuck off and was like, every 3 months I'm going to have to face this.
Right. Waiting for that report card to come back home.
You know?
And
And then just be like, oh, it's coming.
yeah.
But towards the end of high school, I got to a point where I could just be like, all right, just shut off your brain and sit there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to, you know what I mean? He's going to yell.
Yeah.
He's going to get mad.
Yeah.
Just fucking sit there, and then you get to go downstairs.
Yeah.
And sit on and watch TV.
Yeah. It just became like repetitive at that point.
Yeah, it got to a point where it was like routine. Like every 3 months, I was like, I know this is coming
Right.
for sure.
Just disassociate your way through it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just sit there and be like, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So did you never really pull your grades around? You just Got out of there,
Not
graduated.
really.
and-
I did what I needed to do
Yeah.
to get out, and
Yeah.
that was it.
Nice. I love a guy that sticks to a plan. You know.
In retrospect, wish I did. Wish I tried a little harder.
Sure,
Would
yeah.
have helped.
Yeah.
But now the hack is you can get to an age where it doesn't matter
Yeah.
and
right.
just go to school if you have the money.
yes.
You find out that it is all ultimately money. If you want to go to a good school right after high school, the transcripts matter. But
Right.
at the end, it's like, if you're 27, you want to go back to school, just give them the money and
Yeah.
they'll let you do it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we always close this with if you have one piece of parenting advice to give to everybody out there that's raising a kid based on your own childhood, what would you tell other parents that are raising a kid right now?
I think just keep in mind that they're also a person. Like, not in the sense where it's like they don't, but it's like they're gonna fuck up and they don't know things. Like, I'm now going through shit like with insurance and like all of this other stuff that I'm like figuring out on my own. And like, to a kid, when you're born, all of the advice that you're given is based on everybody's best guess of how shit works.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes that's not always right, but you do have to guess and get it wrong to figure it out. So I think just being like, yeah, they fucked up, but I'm going to let them fuck up. I'm not going to get mad at this because at the end of the day, it is a more valuable learning experience. I think it comes from a place of like they feel bad when it happens and that's why they get mad, where it's like, why would you do that? But it's like, I learned the most in my life by fucking up, and to not have someone be mad after that is way easier to deal with, because then you can just sit and be like, I messed that up, and you work through it. But when you have another person pissed and you already know you messed up, you're like, just give me a break. This is a lot to deal with right
Yeah.
now.
It's like I'm handling it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out
Yeah.
right now. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's that at the end of the day. But I don't know. I don't have kids, so.
Yeah.
I don't think
No.
here's the thing, man. I don't think personally you need to have kids to give advice to parents, because we were all kids and we all had parents.
Everyone has their own perspective of parenting.
Yeah.
Everyone has one.
And
you know?
it's like, it's more of the theory than the practice, right? It's like, these are the things that we noticed growing up that we would have liked.
Yeah.
And we're just acknowledging that through the advice that we want to give other people.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, you know, a deep understanding of the fact that no one is inherently evil.
Yeah.
You know, and that could be socially or whatever it may be. You know, I don't believe in an evil baby.
Right.
I just don't, you know, and like, I don't, people say people are predisposed to this, predisposed to that. Well, you know, your predisposition can be changed by the right environment.
100%. Yeah.
I believe that.
definitely.
And I believe that we have to grow our competency as people in order to become better parents.
Yeah.
And so some of the advice that you know, people give, you know, to parents and to do at the end of this, it's more like a lesson in humanity than it is parenting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be patient with people.
Yeah.
You know, understand a mistake is not the end of the road. It is the very beginning.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, you know, children is the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
They're going to make mistakes. It's that everything they do seems like a mistake to you.
Yeah.
Because-
Because they're doing it in the least efficient way, because that's the only way that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, this has been a fun ride.
This has been a
man.
good
This
one,
has
man.
been great.
Yeah, it's
guys.
been great.
Yeah.
You want to let them know where to find you and everything?
Oh, yeah. AIDSman109 on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Goat Mentality on my YouTube page. That's a podcast that we do with my boys. So,
Nice.
But yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Go check
Dude,
them
thanks
out.
for doing it,
Yeah.
man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Keep doing what you're doing, liking, sharing, subscribing, and we'll keep doing what we're doing by trying to make this the best damn podcast in the whole wide world.
Damn right.
Thank you guys for coming in. I've been John.
Mama alive.
Nice job.
Daddy make me cry. He's Tammy's boy. Tammy's boy. Tammy's boy. He's Tammy's boy.
They can't can subscribe? Why can't they? What would ever prevent them from subscribing?
Well, that's the question. Why wouldn't you subscribe?
It's like, you know what I mean? Subscribe if you can. No, you can.
You can. It's free, actually.
People with nubs for arms can do it with their tongue, dude. You got this.
You got this.
I believe in you.
We believe in you.
Yeah.
Subscribe.